for today is going to be the glute ham raise. I've already done some standing leg curls, nothing real major, but just to stretch the hamstrings out a little bit and warm them up some. Typically the glute ham raise would be done after one of your main lifts, if it be the squat or the deadlift. A lot of times I've recommended using the glute ham raise as part of a warm-up rotation before the squat and deadlift if hamstrings are a weak point of yours. Right now I'm going to do it as a main hamstring movement. This will be the first set. Probably won't be a whole lot of reps because I just kind of want to stretch out, get a feel of it, make sure the machine's set up right. Setup feels good, so I was probably the last person to use it. You want to make sure your knees are slightly behind the pad, which is going to allow the knees to drop, allowing for the hamstring to contract from origin and insertion. The other key point is when you come up to drive your toe into the foot plate as hard as you possibly can. If the foot plate is not long enough, you don't have anything to put your toe into, I highly suggest somebody stand behind with their hands, or you mount some type of wood surface on there to be able to drive your toe into it to shut the calves down, to put more stress onto the hamstrings. You want to be in a flat position at the start, so you're not inclined, you're not declined, your body's completely straight. You want to drop down or start from that straight position. Drive your toes in, try to keep your elbow or your shoulders in line with your hips throughout the whole movement. So you're not doing a back arch to come up, you're just using your hamstrings, and at the top you're driving your glutes forward. On your way down you almost lunge out like you're trying to stretch your hamstrings, stop, and then flex the hamstrings and glutes to come back up again. On some of those repetitions, I'll drop a little bit past being flat because my hamstrings feel like they're starting to tighten up or cramp. So I'll lunge it out and drop forward a little bit to stretch more. I also like to stretch the hamstrings like I did there at the end of every set. The pad angle is very important, in my opinion, for the glute ham raise. Not only does the Elite FTS pad have an angle on it, we can even put it up on the concrete here to give it more of an angle to make it harder. In comparison, if you compare this to a flat sit-up where you sit flat on the floor and curl up and back down, you know at the top of the movement with the strength curve there's no resistance. Now if you were to do the same sit-up on an incline or decline bench or whatever you want to call it, it gets harder at the top because the body angle's changed to provide more resistance. Same thing with the glute ham raise. If it's a flat out pad and you come up to the top, this top position here where the hamstrings are flexing the hardest and actually where your glutes are really starting to push in as it would a deadlift or squat through the top, isn't there anymore. Typically with the flatter pad, you get to that top position, you can't even pull yourself all the way through because your knee will slip out because there's no pad there to even drive or wedge your knee against with your toe. On that one there, I feel like I'm beginning to flex a little bit harder, but still not quite what I'm looking for. So a lot of times with myself, I find that that's due to my calves being a little too tight. So I'll stretch my calves out a little bit here between sets. A lot of different ways to do the glute ham raise. There's an article on the Elite site, I don't know what it's called now, it might be called Pumping the Posterior, that outlines different styles of doing the glute ham raise. For years when I was powerlifting, I was doing the glute ham raise between 2 and 6 times per week. So I always changed the style in which I was doing it. Right now I'm doing just a standard glute ham. You could go into a free fall ballistic glute ham raise. It can also do a weight release type glute ham raise where you'll take a heavy med ball, drop, pop back up, somebody hands you the heavy med ball again. That's really cool to do if you actually have a couple different weights of med balls. That way the person's always ready with the next one when you come up. So say you drop with a 60-pound med ball, come up, they're ready to hit you with the 40-pound, drop, come back up, now they're ready to hit you back with the 60-pound. Keep going that way. You can use the band pegs, put band resistance around your shoulders, obviously weight vest. You can keep jacking up the back end as much as you want. I've even seen a couple people do single leg glute hams. You can also do a hybrid movement where you go all the way down into a back raise, all the way up to a glute ham raise. I'm not a real big advocate of that one because a lot of times your lower back will carry you through, up and through where the hamstrings are working the most, and it's really, in my opinion, it's really a hamstring glute exercise, but that's a variation that's done as well. I'm also starting to notice right now, as I go through my sets, my toes are flaring out more and more with each repetition. That's a good indicator for myself that my hamstrings are weak, and I'm trying to recruit more into the glute, into the lower back. So the next set, I'm going to try to make a real conscious effort to keep my toes straight, and what we'll probably see is my strength diminish very fast. Either way, next set will be my last set, and then I'll move on to the rest of my hamstring training, which will be stiff leg deadlifts or Romanians. See how my hamstrings feel, and maybe some one leg curls. As I said, this time I'm going to try to keep my toes straight, maybe even turned in a little bit. And that proves my point right there. Now if I was to take them back out again, you can see right away what the difference is, because the recruitment is coming off of where I'm weak and going on to where I'm stronger. So the whole point of training is to actually try to find where you're weak on the movements that you are doing, especially the accessories, and work them in those weak ranges of motion to make them stronger, because those are indicators on what's holding a lot of your lifts back, or holding your progress back if it is muscle development and muscle strength that you're trying to build. Great example right there.